I'd like to welcome you to EVIT's board meeting on August 26, 2024. We will stand for the pledge, I assume. And Chris, our new IT guy, is going to give us the pledge.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chris. Perfect job. Just like working on computers, huh? Okay. Let me turn my paper over. Incomplete. I've got my pages out of order. Oh, we're down here.
We're on minutes.
Oh, we're on this one here, minutes. Okay, we're on item 3, minutes. Need a motion, please.
Mr. President, I move the approval of the minutes.
I'll second.
We got a first and a second. Any questions on it? Any improvements on it? Hearing none, we'll vote by acclamation.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, call the public. Any call the public?
Not that I'm aware of, sir, no.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to 5. Consent agenda, A through O.
Mr. President, I move the approval of items 5A through O on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Mr. President, is it possible to give explanation on several of those, or must those be pulled off separately?
Anybody need an explanation on any of them?
Would you like to give an explanation?
I would, yes.
There's one
just
that
for
you
the
want
record.
to, you're welcome to give us
them
an explanation on it.
Okay, so I'd actually like Dr. Luna to speak. You'll see on the consent agenda, there's a ton of travel requests. And this time last year, we had a conversation about travel, and I think there was a misunderstanding publicly about the travel that I think I'd like to have clear. So Dr. Dillon, if you can speak briefly to the travel request.
Sure. Thank you very much, Dr. Wilson. Board President, members of the board, so on the travel, just want to make sure everybody's clear of the travel that we have placed on this agenda item. This travel is not for the board members. This is the travel for the staff. This is a little bit overage of what will actually be traveling. As you have seen in the past, we say not to exceed 5 and we end up sending 2 or 3. So we tend to put a few extra in there because we don't know who's going to be qualified for some of these events. However, if we don't get your approval now, we can't get the early bird pricing. We can always cancel with no fault, but if we wait to add, then we cost taxpayers more by waiting. So that's why we bring all this travel to you at the beginning of the year. It's so that the administrative team can start working on booking the travel, getting the travel reserved. And again, we can always deny it if we have 5 reserved and we only take 3, we get our money back. But if we wait and we want to add people later, it is very, very costly and the prices go up about every 15 to 30 days. So that's why you see all this travel there. We will give you an update at the end of the year, as we did in the past, of how much we actually did use, and you will see those come through as well. So this would be almost a not to exceed this amount for this travel.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I want to, 2 things. I'm a big fan of staff and faculty attending conferences and enhancing professionalism that way. And the other thing is I really want to compliment the administration on getting us, trying to help moving us to the point where we recognize that if we plan early, we can make for significant savings. And I really do appreciate it. It's a lot of work to do that, by the way. I know it's not just a matter of saying, well, let's put in for 5 units, but you got to calculate it and figure it out. Yes, sir. So just explaining my vote. So and my colleagues join in thanking the administration.
I agree with you, everything you said there. And there are also 2 student ones on there, and they're not till November and February. So planning ahead on everything is awesome, and hopefully we can do this.
So I call a question.
Okay, hearing no more comments from our student board member here, we will call for the question. Acclamation, please.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, they agreed with you. Are you happy now? I just want to make sure. Okay.
Mr. President, I move the approval of items 6A and B on the agenda.
Second.
Did I hear a second?
Second. Metcalf, second.
Okay. Any questions? If not, acclamation, please. Question?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. We have some discussion information. Dr. Cabell? Well, you shouldn't say Dr. Kevin, Dr. Lawyer,
Mr.
LLD.
Counsel?
I do have a Juris Doctorate, but we don't get the,
Okay, Doc.
the first one is a first read on a policy revision on personal leave for full-time 10-month employees. There was a little confusion with payroll because we have some full-time 10-month employees who are not instructors and don't have to arrange for substitutes. So we're just making the change to clarify that only instructors have to find substitutes. Instructional aides don't have to arrange for substitutes. That was the first read on that one.
Makes sense.
Shall we move to item number 8 now?
Oh, yes.
There's 4?
Yes.
Oh, I apologize. Chapter 6, Section 15, the change is to differentiate between secondary and post-secondary students. We do not provide free textbooks or materials to post-secondary students. So that's what that one looks like. And 16 was the method that was in the policy that we got from the ASBA about textbook approval. Turns out the statute that requires that does not apply to CTEDs, so we've just eliminated it, except for the part about how to get rid of outdated materials.
I wonder why.
And the last one is a change in nomenclature. We're just changing high school for clarity. We're changing high school to secondary school, adult student to post-secondary student, and that's basically all those changes and the occurrences of where those changes take place.
And textbooks, we did that?
I did that one.
Okay.
I did them out of order. I apologize. And
I
then
heard you, but didn't.
the second read on the policy is the one from last week where we just eliminated the paper requirement for getting approval for network accounts because it's just done electronically now.
Move the approval of item 8A, on the agenda, which is the second reader.
You have a second?
Right.
I second.
Okay, thank you. We'll have the question by acclamation.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, we go to 8B, approval of certain staff members to be qualified evaluators. They're already qualified, we just have to approve them.
Mr. President, move the approval of the qualified evaluators under 8B.
I second.
We had echo here.
Good.
We had 2 seconds.
It's okay.
We have a second and second? Okay.
Second.
No questions here. We'll go vote. We'll have the question by acclamation.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
On item 9, superintendent summary of events. We're going for record here.
This is not a record, though, is it?
I appreciate the time that you spent through the other part of the agenda. No, Mr. President, members of the governing board, I just want to say some thank you to some staff tonight. I sent you a communication last week. We had an issue at Power Campus in which we had a fire, and it's easy sometimes, I think, as a superintendent or even as an organization to get stuck in stuff that isn't working. And we have things we have to fix, there's no question about it. But oftentimes, that's all we get stuck on. And to go from getting a call at 6 o'clock in the morning that there might be a fire at Power to talking to Mark Howard, to John Zaccato, to Dr. Doolin, to Dr. Schreiner, to Mesa Fire, to ASU Police, to, I mean, the list goes on, to Edith and her department for procuring the company to come out and do the deep clean, from CC to crafting a notification that we can send to parents and to students to communicate what the day is going to look like. We went from the possibility of having a fire, which turned out to be a fire, to students being back in that building the very next day. Wow. And so it is easy sometimes to get stuck on what's not working, but I think we saw an excellent example of what does work. People weren't fixated and focused on the time or the money. The fixation and focus was getting kids back in the classroom. And ultimately, that's who we are as an organization. We do what's in the best interest of kids. And it was really refreshing as a superintendent, although it was a very long day, but it was really refreshing as a superintendent to experience something like that. Because I've been in other situations in other organizations where a situation like that would have just tanked. And it would have tanked for a long period of time. And so I'm very grateful to those who stepped in and stepped up, and I'm very grateful to have an example of an organization that really functions by doing what's in the best interest of the students. So all of you who did what you did to make sure our kids got back in class, IT was out there to make sure that we had, that nothing was impacted by the internet. Facilities was there to make sure our lights worked and our air worked. I mean, the list goes on and on. Our teachers, our cosmetology teachers, had to spend the whole day shuffling kids back and forth and maintaining as much of a classroom structure as they could, and then the next day to make sure they got their students back on track. The attendance office, DJ and Joanne at the front office, they had to take hundreds of calls on top of what they already have to do in order to make sure we were being communicated to parents. I mean, the list just goes on. And it was a refreshing, humbling, excellent example of who we expect ourselves to be as an organization. So to all of you, thank you for making a day that could have been really bad, actually not so bad at all. Mr. Lane.
Thank you.
The fire.
Did Lisa French leave her curling iron on?
She did. It traces back to Lisa. Actually, it all traces back to that. So,
If you didn't understand him, I have a letter here for you can read.
yeah, there was a fire in our cosmetology building, third floor facility, faculty bathroom, fire, trash can was on fire. And so our sprinkler system worked as it should, put the fire out, so we had very little, if any, smoke damage. Unfortunately, the sprinkler system also put water in the hallways, and it's a brick building. It's on the third floor, and so the water seeped to the second, to the first, and so there's still some collateral work that's having to be done out there. But there was an arrest made. I mean, just really, you don't have that situation work out as well as it did, given what it could have been. And that's a tribute to the folks that we work with. And so I just want to take a minute to thank them publicly for what they did that day and that week to make sure our kids were back in class. So thank you.
Okay, I have something to bring up. We have the meeting on the 9th, and I physically can't be here. And I know that Shelley and Boggs and Laura Metcalf want to go to the
Consortia.
consortium
I
out there.
can stay back if we
You
don't
can
have
stay-
a
okay.
quorum.
If the 1, 2, 3, 4,
We still
5 of
could.
you come, it'll work.
1, 2, 3.
Okay,
we
so
still could.
we can get the 5 of you,
If
make
everybody
sure the
comes.
5 of you are here, we have a
Quorum.
4.
If it turns out that one of you of the 5 turns out you can't, if you just let myself or Tammy know, and then I'll reach out, and we'll get Ms. Boggs or Dr. Metcalf to make the quorum.
Absolutely,
That's
whatever's
good.
needed.
Okay, and I'm not going to be here, so my other question for you, Mr. Wilson, on Thursday, would you like the acting secretary to come?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Clerk, excuse me.
Clerk can get it dialed in.
He wants,
Get it all dialed in.
he wants to learn about this because he might not get reelected.
He just wants to use the He just wants to use the gavel.
We have an adjournment, not last thing, adjournment.
Calendar.
Oh, that was calendar.
Today.
No, well,
Oh,
next meeting.
Next
Next
meeting.
meeting, it's September 9th. That was, okay. Now can I go to adjournment, me?
Need
Okay.
to call for
Anything
it.
else we need on the calendar?
Got a call for
No, sir.
10A and B.
You got to call for the motion to adjourn.
Okay, call for the motion of adjournment.
Second.
Acclamation?
All in favor?
We're out of here.